Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the EFFing
Madres.
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Monday motivation, Monday madres. Carla, who are we?
We are the Eff It Madres. I'm Carla. She's Romy. We are two moms, two best friends that decided to say Eff It and start this podcast because you know what? We need some motivating and inspiration. And we thought, how great would it be to create a space where we can also help other moms be motivated and inspired by other moms just like you and us that have done things, big Eff It moments, said Eff It to whatever it was that they were doing and made big changes. We're in the midst of ours. So selfishly, this podcast is helping us move through ours, but we're hoping that it helps those moms out there who are also needing to get that push, that first step into having their Eff It moment. And, you know, you're in the midst of it, or maybe you want one. Like, we are talking to all of that. So that's who we are. And if you have a story, we'd love to hear it.
Reach out to us. Yeah, we are definitely, she nailed it. That's what we're doing. That's what we're in. And we've got an incredible madre on today, another Latina who's a powerhouse, who's a friend of mine. And I've just been dying to have her on. And it worked. It's really hard for all of us mamas to A, make time to do these kind of things. And B, we know that you guys listening have very limited time to listen. But if you are, it's a little bit of time for you and to inspire you. And we know how important that is for us, which is why we created this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's absolutely. So who do we have on?
We have Sarah on today. She is the owner of Bonita Brides and a very dear friend of mine. And I'm very excited to jump in and hear her Eff It moment.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to bring her in just a moment.
Okay, everybody. Happy Monday. We have my dear friend, Sarah Hernandez Johnson, with us today. I have known Sarah for many, 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 many years. She was actually one of the first makeup artists that I worked with at MAC in Century City, right out of makeup school, fresh first job. And mind you, everyone listening, if you were in the MAC days in this time, we were the shit. Okay.
It was major.
Major.
It was major if you got a job at MAC, and it was major if you got a job at MAC in LA. That was major. Gregory Alt was our trainer. I mean,
yeah,
like I love Gregory. I know him.
He came and trained us like at the MAC store. We did trainings in fucking El Segundo or wherever that place was. Gregory Alt, like he was our trainer.
Yes, he's amazing. Oh.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. Carla, as you know, is a hairdresser from Los Angeles. We've all done our hair and makeup industry out there. We are in the industry. So I actually now am a makeup artist for Sarah for Bonita Brides. I'm very honored. I work exclusively with her and her team, and we busy. This mama keeps me busy, and she supports mamas and single mamas like myself out there working. So we're so honored to have you on today, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we're just going to jump right in, and I'm going to ask you the first question, which is, when did you decide to just Eff It and why?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this because I have lots of Eff It moments, but the one that I want to focus on today is when I transitioned from living in Los Angeles to moving to Texas. And a little backstory is I had like a midlife crisis. I was teaching yoga for years. I stopped doing makeup. And so I had a baby. I moved to Texas to be closer to my family and a lot of other like things that were going on in my life, and just wasn't working in LA. It's hard to have a baby in LA and not have support. And so we moved to Texas with a 10-month-old. My husband now, he was just my boyfriend or my partner at the time. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to teach yoga anymore. I'm going to start a wedding makeup and hair business. And he was very confused because he knew me as a yoga teacher. And I just knew that I could do that quicker and make more money faster. And I had a baby on my hip, and I thought, well, I really kind of want to be like a stay-at-home mom. And so I'll just work on the weekends, and weddings are on the weekends. So I'll do this. I'll just focus on weddings instead of doing what I had done in LA, which was like celebrity and entertainment stuff, which is like 14-hour days, as I'm sure you guys know. So that's how Bonita Brides was born originally in 2017. I was the sole stylist doing hair and makeup. And Stephen would watch my son on the weekends and I would go and do weddings. And so everyone was like, what? Like, you're just going to limit yourself to weddings? Like, why wouldn't you go do, I know people like, I went to school with Robert Rodriguez's sister. Like, they're here in Austin. Like, they're making movies here. Like, why wouldn't you go do that? I was like, I don't know. I just got like this download from source. Like, I'm just going to do this wedding thing. And I just did that. I focused on that. A lot of people thought I was crazy for doing that.
I love it. Can I ask you, because we are the EFFing Madres, like why you created Bonita Brides? What was that name? I'm just like, how did that come?
Yeah. So Bonita is something that was always circling like in the field for me. And I actually created a yoga business that with like, she's in America, she's not a big celebrity, but she's a celebrity in Europe. I created a yoga business, like a video, an online platform before they even had those with this like singer songwriter. And we called it Bonita Neon. Her name is Neon Hitch and Bonita was me. And so, because I always have white skin, so people think I'm white and they'll say things in front of me not so nice things. So I want people to know that I'm Latina, which is why I still won't give up my maiden name, because I want people to know that I am Latina. And that so Bonita Brides, half Spanish, half English, which is very Texas Spanglish. That's how I was raised. I don't know Spanish. Stephen, my husband, can speak it fluently, but I don't know it. I know words here and there. I can get along. I can do okay, but so it's a mixture. That's why.
I love it. Same girl, same with the Spanglish. And I'm a mix of, I'm a mixed Latina and white. And so I get you there. Then I just like love that was like the name of it. The next question would be, what did you do about it when you decided, F it, I'm going to just focus on weddings here in Texas. I'm going to create my own company. What did that look like for somebody listening when you did that?
Yeah. So I just started doing whatever. Like, I put it out into the universe, just started doing whatever. And I had, like I said, I had a baby at home, so he wasn't in school. So it was really slow in the beginning. So it was just enough to sustain. I mean, to barely sustain, me and my family. And I was exhausted. We do lots of services at weddings and I was doing all of them. So because I needed all the money, I was doing like 14 services. Whereas like now I send a stylist, I don't usually do more than like 7 or 8 services at the most. If it's Romy, I might give her 10 because she's like the fastest makeup artist on the planet. But so that's just how it started. And so it was just slow. It was just kind of like a trickle. It was like enough. And it grew organically in the right way because I wanted to be home with my son. So then when he went to school in 2020, it started to take off and I wasn't really super prepared. And so I was just kind of trying to like keep up with it and stuff. And it was draining in another way because I was doing a lot of the administrative work. So
that's crazy though. It took off in 2020.
Yeah.
During COVID.
2020. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was just, I don't know. I could speculate. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'll just jump in quickly. We are in Texas, and so I think we kept living during that time, and
That's
so I know that we were having weddings. I mean, we were having weddings, and Sarah, that's crazy you said that because I remember the kids going into school. Frankie went into school as well during that time. I remember we were like, at the same time, and then you really did start to like pick up, like.
Yeah, and I think some of my clients just doubled down. They're like, well, my grandpa has a ranch, so we'll just have like a private ceremony. You can come do hair and makeup for that, and then we'll have a big party on my grandpa's private ranch where there's nobody's going to regulate masks and stuff. Like, and as a mother and the sole breadwinner, that I took those jobs. I took those jobs, and I communicated to the team like, what are you comfortable with? If you're not comfortable working right now, I totally respect that. And I'll be here when you are, but who's comfortable and we're going to work.
Yeah. And we did.
Wow. And we did.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I feel really good because I think that was a hard time for a lot of mothers and single moms. And I have almost all the people on the team are moms. I only have a couple that aren't. And I feel good. That's something that feels really good that I help moms, put food on the table.
She sure does, because I will never forget, before we go into the next question, when I ran into her here, I was at home with my baby girl, and like she was like, "Do you do makeup?" And I was like her, I was like, "No, I haven't done makeup in a while. I've been just momming it." And she was like, "You want to work?" And I was like, "Not really." And then it was like I went through my divorce, and I was like, "I need work." And she was like, "I got you, boo."
Yeah.
And since then has provided me work on the weekends I don't have my daughter, to put that extra money of food on the table and stuff. And like when we did our recent photo shoot with Sarah, which I was so proud to be a part of, it was like all these mamas and
Yeah.
all these like badass women. And I was like, yes,
Yes.
like
Yes.
this is the team.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that must be such an incredible feeling to know that you impacted these people's lives during a time that was just it was so weird for everyone. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I really knew that until recently because like I was saying at the beginning, I had kind of like two F it moments, and the more recent one was more recent,
Mm,
and I basically doubled down on myself. Like
right.
I doubled down on myself. I doubled down on the investment. I doubled down on the business, and I just it's becoming more saturated. Like as you know, from when I moved here in 2017, I'm from Texas, but even from then until now, the population has grown. A lot of people are coming to Texas. There's more artists coming here. People are starting businesses like mine. 2020 took people out of the office and into the world and created a lot of new entrepreneurs that weren't there before.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I've
Yeah.
always been an entrepreneur, but a lot of people are now quitting their day job and doing this thing, right? So a lot of people are like, this it's an oversaturated market. So like, what are you gonna do? Like you gotta get on board or like get out. Like we're living in an online world, as you guys know. So like you gotta do it or like yeah, you could just make like little this here and there. But like if I'm trying to sustain a profitable business, I'm trying to run a profitable business, I'm making guarantees and deals with my stylists that are working for me that I'm going to give them work. I need to show up and do that and not just be like, "Oh, I'm running a business from my smartphone, like I guess I'll sort of do some work when I feel like it." No, this is a real business. And so I doubled down on myself. I invested in myself and I learned how to do things. I'm 42, so these things weren't taught to me. I don't know what they're teaching in college these days, whatever, but they weren't taught to me in college. I didn't know what SEO meant. I didn't know how to use the gram properly. I didn't know how to write copy for my website. I didn't know keywords. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I invested in some mentoring and coaching programs, and I'm still doing some of that work, and I have probably tripled the business since 2020. So, and what I did was I built an exclusive team. So I have stylists that work solely for my company. In terms of bridal, they can do whatever they want, but there's a lot of other companies. And so I want to promote them and I want to be able to grow this into something bigger. And in order to do that, I have to have stylists that I trust and that save their weekends for me. And so that I don't have to spin my wheels staffing all the time. I can do other things to draw in ideal clients, and it's just a better situation for everyone. So that's been going good.
That thing that you mentioned in regards to investing in yourself, I mean, it's. I've learned in the last few years how important that is. Like taking coaching programs or whatever it is, getting mentors, coaching, and all that sort of stuff. How important it is to really do that, and it's a form of self care to do
Yeah.
that for yourself. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, even if you're scraping pennies and you invest in yourself, it will turn out tenfold if
Yeah.
you really, really, really do the work on
Yeah.
yourself,
If you do the work.
because it will pay off for other people too. Like it is a really and really great thing that you said there that I think is really important for other moms, because it's a hard thing for moms to do, to
Mm.
take care of themselves, to invest in themselves. But it's at the end of the day the most important thing, because what are you showing your kids? We always talk about that. What do you show your
Mm-hmm.
kids at the end of the day? You want to be a fulfilled mom so that they see that their mom was fulfilled, so they realize, hey, I need to do that for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really important lesson. So that's amazing that you did that.
Yeah. And I mean, like the top athletes have coaches. Like I think billionaires and millionaires, they have coaches. They just don't talk about it. This is something
Yeah.
that it's not talked about as much, about like asking for help, getting help.
Yeah.
Latina culture is like, oh, I'll do it myself, So like, I think that that's something within the culture that asking for help is like it's a good thing. It's like getting support is a good thing. It's like being a lifelong learner. There's something to that. That is always gonna add value to your life if you don't think you know everything all the time and you're the best all the time.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to jump to the next question in regards to so when you had this effort moment from when you were transitioning from being a yoga teacher to starting your business, what were the emotions? What were you feeling at that time? Were you like, did you feel this like passionate drive, or was it more of like, I'm just going to try this? Like, I'm just curious where your mental state was at that time.
Well, that's a deeper. There was a lot going on for me at that time. I was going through a lot of trauma at that time. That's like a whole other podcast. But I was just trying to survive.
Mm.
I was just trying to survive, and also years before, I felt like I had downloaded that from source years before, like what the wedding. I had downloaded the wedding thing. Like I knew that was the direction I was supposed to go in. I was told that like in a meditation several times over years. And I was like, oh, no. I didn't know what to do or how to do it or where to start. And so I think sometimes when you're pushed into a corner and you don't know how to survive, you do the thing that felt uncomfortable that you didn't think you could do before. And that's what I did. And that's how I felt. You just rise up from the depths to make it happen,
Yeah.
Can relate so much, and so happy that you said that, Sarah. It's I struggle all the time right now, and Carla, I was like, even today, Carla was so sweet and was like, how can I show up for you? How can I be a friend to you? And it was one of those things where I was like, when you're pushed up against a wall and like you don't know where the hell to go, it's those moments that like it's almost like the angry fighter in you comes out and something's going to happen. And sometimes if you don't get there and you're not, like, you don't know how to get yourself out of it. And when you do, it's just like really powerful.
Yeah.
And so, like, for any mom listening who feels that or is dealing with that and has some guidance from the universe telling them to do something and they're pushed, like, I need that advice. I need to hear that today. So this is why we always love to have these women on, you guys on, because sometimes you guys say things and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's never too late.
Yeah, like you speak into my soul.
Okay.
The next question would be then, like, what did it do for your family by you just effing doing this? Like, how did it change your family dynamic? What did it do for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main kind of thing in the beginning was like to be able to be a mom and be at home most of the time with my child and be the person raising my child and be the person influencing my child. I think that has an impact that I don't even really understand or know on that person's experience and that person's life. Obviously, it helped pay the bills and then create, larger future dreams. I mean, I as an artist who just was like sitting on the couch smoking weed in LA for years, like, oh yeah, I'll just get this job so I'll pay my rent or whatever. Well, I just wasn't that person. I wasn't the like, oh, let me save money to do the da da da. And then you have a kid and you're like, oh, maybe I should save the money to do the thing. And so, like, Steve and I bought our first house a year and a half ago. So it did that for me. And what it's doing for me now is it's creating, I think the overlying headline is that it's creating freedom. The choices that I've made, the investments that I've made, the work that I do, I show up every day and it's creating freedom. It's creating freedom in my life to live the life of my dreams, to live the life that I want to live. Right? I'm not going to just sit behind a desk and dream about it. I'm going to take messy action. And that's how you achieve your goals. Is just doing it. It doesn't have to look perfect. I show up on Instagram every day. Sometimes I don't have makeup on.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Like, you like me or you don't. You're gonna be my client and you're gonna be attracted to me. And that's who I want to show up for me. I don't want like the bottom feeders. You know what I mean?
I mean, that was a conversation Carla and I were having, even recently, and you get this, we all get this. Like, I'm glad you said it. It's a world that is virtual now. There's such a presence with our own business that now exists in a new way that didn't before. And like, as women in our 40s, as moms, like, it's our fucking job to learn it if we want it. And so Carla and I also are taking the time to have these conversations and these check-ins and be like, this is what we want. We need to get more active. We need to do more of this. And obviously I am personally, and because all I've ever known is my own brand being me, but creating a new brand and launching a new brand that's new to me, it it demands a whole another attention. And like you said, you either don't learn it, or you do. And I think the key thing you said that we talk about all the time, thank you for saying, Sarah, is that it has created freedom for you and your family. And I
That's the
think that,
goal.
yeah.
Yeah, that's always been the goal, like I've never been like I mean, I think Mac was like the last job that I had where I was like W2,
Oh my God.
I think it was. I've never worked on movie
Yeah.
sets, and they have to any
Yeah.
job you do in LA, they have to W2 you. That's just how LA is. But like an actual, that kind of job. Um,
Mm.
so
Speaking to my soul.
that's always been the thing, is like wanting that. And I see, why are we doing that? Like, why do we want money? Why do we want success? Well, it's because those things allow us to live our dreams and to be free and to be our true selves. And when you're living from your truth, and when you're doing things from your truth, and when you're posting from your truth, and when you're talking to clients from your truth, like, you can't help but be successful. Like, it will happen eventually. And you just have to keep going. Sometimes, it's hard, but you just have to keep going.
That is 100% true. Now that so how many years now has it been that Bonita Brides has been in business and doing?
Yeah. So I started in 2017 when I was like the only artist.
Okay.
So I think it's been like 5 or 6 years.
So now you have a team of how many people?
So I have an exclusive team of 11. I'm bringing on 2 more. So it'll be
Wow.
13.
Wow.
But it feels small because before I had like 50 artists that I work with.
Oh,
But
okay.
because I was working different, and it felt inauthentic. Like, I didn't have relationships with all of them. I didn't know, like, I know where each one of my artists lives. I know how many children they have. I know if they're a single mom and they have their kid on the weekend or not. So I know more of their life, and I know what works for them. And I try to be a good leader and an open door for. I have artists that call me like, hey, I'm going through a tough time. I broke up with my boyfriend. I have this health issue. Like, do you have any extra jobs? Whatever. And so I want to be that safe space for them.
Would you say that you feel more of the weight of responsibility now that you have this smaller team because of how intimate those relationships are versus that bigger team that you had because it wasn't really that connected?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, I feel more responsibility because I care about all of the individuals, but it's not a bad responsibility. It's a good responsibility. It's
Right.
whereas before, like, I just didn't I couldn't care. How could I care or know about 50 people's lives? Like, I
Right.
just couldn't. And so it's a good thing. And I trust what I built. So I'm not afraid that I'm going to let them down in some way,
Okay.
you know?
It's funny you say that because the next question does tap into fear. It's asked like what fears come up for you now, where you're at now after this effort moment,
Mhm.
and then how do you stay moving in that effort moment and not fall back into those fears? Do you have any that come up for you now?
Yeah, I have fears. I have a lot of fears. So right now, what I'm working through in coaching is because I've been going to therapy since like 2000, and I don't even know, probably 8. And so, as you know, if you go to therapy, like, there's just always things that you're working on, and then you kind of crush that dragon, and then something else kind of pops up and you work through that. So there was a lot of stuff that I worked through, and I'm at this space in my life now where I'm working through like my money wounds. And
Mm.
so I don't know, I don't want to speak to other people's cultures, but I think as Latinas, we're taught to work under the table and take $2 and take a little bit less, and plus we're women. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but makeup artists on movie sets still make more money than hairstylists, because hairstylists originally were women and makeup artists were originally men. And so they still have a
Oh.
higher rate than the hairstylists because of just the difference of their gender. So, like,
Wow.
I think it's just like embedded in us a little bit. And so I think it's that, plus just the way that money is spoken about in the household, and no shame, no judgment to anybody or to family members, but I just don't have space for that anymore. I can manifest $4 million as easy as I can manifest $400. And if I truly believe that, that will happen for me. And I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Literally chills. I love you so much. Like, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm PMSing, but I could like cry. I'm just like, yes, like just hearing more women speak like this and like own it. And Carla, I know she's speaking to your heart because Carla speaks these words into me daily.
Yeah.
Like daily. She is constantly sending me like money podcast or
Yeah.
owning or demanding.
Yeah.
Put it
And
in
that
the world.
space, it's predominantly male driven. It's predominantly male driven. There aren't a lot of women speaking about it. So the
Yeah.
ones that are speaking
Yes.
about it are really inspirational. But that would be the fears currently that I'm working through. And it's about understanding like me and my emotional intelligence and how I move through time and space and how I move through, oh, well, yeah, obviously I feel great when I open my computer and I've gotten 11 new clients, but how do I feel when I go a week without getting a client? So it's those kind of things. Does that mean I'm never going to get a client again? Does that mean my business is going to fail? Does that mean, but those are the things that are going through, or just like how your parents would talk about budget talk, like that is a 4-letter word for me now. Like we don't talk about, there's no budget.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, this 100% resonates because Latina, yes, I grew up with a first generation family, Honduran parents, where everything was like lack. We don't have enough money for this. You can't ask for this. There's never enough money. All fights were about money.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like I'm glad at this point in my life I've learned to have a different relationship with money, but like for the longest time, when I worried about money, I had so many more money problems. And then finally, when I stopped worrying about money, when I started doing something that I enjoyed, the money just came because I was happy.
Yeah.
When you do step into what it is that you're meant to do, like everything does work out. It's kind of crazy how that does happen.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the lack thing, the money
Yeah, the
stuff
lack,
is
for sure, that. And then I think it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine, right? So
yeah.
Yes.
masculine is what I do daily. It's like go, do my da. But then there's a flow, there's an ease, and that's when the money comes. When you have
Yeah.
that joy, you have that flow, you have that ease. And so I think that it's a balance, and you always have to be sprinkling in those feminine, whatever those activities are, like, well, I go for a walk on the beach, whatever, get a massage, like those things.
Yes.
So would you say that's what helps you stay in the effort momentum moving forward? These things that you do for yourself?
Yeah, and support. I think that getting support, I'm an entrepreneur. It's a lonely place. There's not many of, and then the ones that are, and then what I do is very niche. So there's not a lot of people like, hey, let's have coffee and I'll tell you all my business secrets or whatever. Like, so having
Yeah.
support with other women who are running businesses like mine, having support when I'm going through that stuff, for someone to go, you're not the only one. Like, I know what you're going through. So I think that really is what really keeps me going and keeps me taking risk and keeps me, taking messy action and not sitting on the couch doing nothing.
Yeah.
I want to just say on that note, before we get into the last question here, is that is exactly why we created this space. And I am so happy that you said it, because this podcast, this space has been a place that we want to say, like, there's a community of women being able to share and hear stories of other women saying fuck it and going after scary things, but knowing that, like, we want to support you guys. We want support. We need support. We want to support. And the more us as women, entrepreneurs, fucking strong women that are going after scary things, as mothers with families to support, partners to think of, that we have a community to think of one another. And for those listening who are other entrepreneurs, like, team up, be supportive, like, support one another. Like, we are all out here doing our fucking best, and like you said, it can be lonely. And like, the more we are in this together and the more we're cheering one another on, like Carla always says, we'll just fucking take over the world. But we need so much more of that, like, that space and that time to tap in with one another. And like,
Camaraderie. That's what I keep saying.
camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Yeah.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, that's what we always
Camaraderie,
do,
yeah.
camaraderie. And so every
Yeah.
time we have a woman on here that goes, we've had women that we've interviewed and they're like, we just really love what you're doing. It's that makes Carla and I remember that we love doing this, because somebody loves it. You have to hear those things sometimes.
Yeah.
That would lead me into the final question. And Sarah, like, I can't thank you enough for being on here. Your words are so inspiring. You are such a badass. I love you. The last question for those listening: what advice would you give another mama out there who is going through this and wants to have their F it moment in the midst of it? What is your advice to them listening?
Yeah, it's that messy action. Take the messy action. Manifestation happens when you take the action, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So you dream it and think it, believe it, and then you have to do it and receive it. And so you have to take the messy action. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then just remember that if you're in alignment with your truth and you're being vulnerable and you're really being you and coming from that space of, and you're not, then it's gonna work out for you. You'll have success. And just find people who support that. And also, I do think that when you're manifesting something new and it's crazy, let's say you work at a bank and you're like, I'm gonna start a sup board company on Lake Travis, like what, I don't know, whatever. You're gonna start something that's your dream. You definitely want to breast it. They say that like when you're playing cards, you want to hold it close to your heart. You don't want to necessarily tell everybody, because when you're trying to manifest something, people's words and energy, if they don't believe it, they're just projecting. It's not about you. They're projecting their own fears on you, but it will start to churn, especially because you're very vulnerable in those moments. So you have to be very careful about who you share it with and make sure that it's a really positive person. Like when I manifested the house, I didn't tell anybody, because it was when in Austin, everyone was buying houses. Romy, you probably remember, it was like a house that used to cost $100,000 now costs like $600,000, and nobody could get a house because people were paying cash and they were paying $300,000 over. I didn't tell a soul. And I was like, I'm going to buy a fucking house. Just watch me.
And this bitch did. And she was like, welcome to my house party. I just bought a home. I was like, okay. She had the bounce house in the back, the chickens go, and she's like, welcome to my palace. And I was like, okay.
I mean, my country palace.
No, your house is beautiful.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's a pattern that I've noticed, at least for me. Yeah. And I think that, everyone's different. And so I'm a little bit more susceptible to people's words and people's energies. And so I think just holding that close and really working on, believing in yourself. You don't need other people to tell you can do it. You can do it. That's all.
Yes. Preach the good word on this Monday. She is bringing it with the motivation. If you are not motivated today by this woman, I think you need to take a silent moment, re-listen, because it's so inspiring, Sarah. Thank you so much.
This was fun. Thank you guys.
Where can people find Bonita Brides? Is there, tell us everything so that we can put it for people to find.
I've made it really simple. It's just Bonita Brides on Instagram. And our website is bonitabrides.com. And that's it. Everything is there.
It's also in my Instagram link. So if you go to my Instagram, there's a link right in my link tree. You can contact if you are looking to book a wedding here with our amazing team, with Sarah. You can go and click that and book with us.
Yes. We would love that.
So this is the end where I'm going to say, just F it.